There was much anticipation ahead of today's verdict. This afternoon, nervous family members and interested parties poured into the Supreme Court. Courtroom 1 was so busy, some would-be onlookers were unable to get in. At exactly 2:30, High Court Judge Sir Geoffrey Grigson started proceedings by stressing his ruling would be final. Making reference to the full court, he cautioned this is not some sort of game show. It would not be appropriate, he said, for applause or for booing. And then the verdicts. The judge first addressed Leanne Turnbull and said the prosecution had failed to satisfy the criminal standard of proof. He found her not guilty of both counts of conspiracy to defraud.
I'm delighted to see that the judge has found me not guilty on both counts. I feel I should have never been charged in the first place, but I'd like to say over the last 5 years I've had a tremendous amount of support and help from my family and my friends, all of them. They've been amazing, and I would just like to say thank you very much, and also to everybody who gave me a reference and to everybody who offered to give me a reference also. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm delighted for Leanne. Throughout the investigation, Leanne has always said that she played no part in this and was not linked with any fraud. I'm delighted for her for 2 reasons. She has had great support in the community, and that continues. So now she can go back to her family who have supported her throughout and go back to her work. I am thrilled for her.
Sir Geoffrey turned to the former managing partner Benjamin Marrache next and said the evidence of his dishonesty was overwhelming, finding him guilty of both counts. Addressing Solomon Marrache, Sir Geoffrey said, "You were Benjamin Marrache's loyal assistant. You were a willing participant, and you shared his dishonesty." As a family member wailed loudly in the background, the judge said the verdict for the former finance director was guilty on both counts. Finally, the judge addressed Marrache & Co.'s former UK-based senior partner. He said in the case of Isaac Marrache, the issue was knowledge. How much did he, in London, know of what was happening here in Gibraltar? The judge ruled Isaac Marrache had benefited from the fraud and was complicit in his brother's activity in respect of count 1, for which he was found guilty. Sir Geoffrey, however, said he was not satisfied on count 2, which related to properties that were remortgaged without the owner's consents. On count 2, Isaac Marrache was found not guilty.
Well, this is quite unusual. I've never made a statement before at the end of a case, but I think this is an exceptional case, and it's appropriate that I should say something. This is a very important case because it is mainly a very important case from the jurisdiction point of view. We're a serious international finance centre, and as such we certainly can't tolerate this sort of behaviour, and it had to be prosecuted. As far as the verdict's concerned, it was a good verdict, but I'm not being no sense triumphal about it, because that's not my role. One point I'd make is this has been the opportunity not only for the finance centre but also for the victims to have a hearing, because sometimes it's said that fraud is a victimless crime, but that's quite simply isn't true. What I am pleased about is that the verdict really vindicates the decision that was taken to prosecute this case. I think it's also important because in the course of these proceedings there have been a lot of attacks made on the honesty of many of the people who've been concerned with the prosecution. And it's quite clear from this verdict that those allegations have found no traction. Equally right to say, as I think you all know, this has put a great strain on the jurisdiction in terms of financial resources and other resources. But what I'm very glad to say is that the jurisdiction have proved that it's a mature jurisdiction and it's been able to cope with that. A number of people I'd like to single out for particular thanks, and I think on the police side, Detective Chief Inspector Lynch, who's beside me, and Inspector Tom Tunbridge, because really they are the people who have mainly piloted this through at the investigation stage. And I think in fairness to them, they have handled what is an enormous case when they also had another workload, and they were taken off the case at times to go and deal with other duties. And I think the contrast with the United Kingdom is that in the United Kingdom you would have had a team of officers, specialist officers, who would have been on this case and nothing else throughout its concurrence. And here I think it's a great tribute to the police that not only have they managed to do this case very well, but they have also done other duties as well. Within my own chambers, I would like to, on the prosecution team, I would like to single out Damien Conroy, Senior Crown Counsel. He's been with this case since it began. Sadly, he can't be here today to hear the verdict. Ishbel Armstrong, who has assisted him very ably. And last but not least, Jonathan McGuinness QC, who's managed to get to grips from right at the beginning with a very complex case. I'd also like to thank Francesca Moreno, who has done a lot of the preparation work for this case and has also handled the computer graphics in court. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
No comment to make on the expense of the trial?
No, I have no comment to make on that. Frankly, I don't know what the trial cost, and I don't think it'd be appropriate, but when I said that this has been a strain on resources, clearly it's been expensive, and I wouldn't pretend anything else.
And what about the prosecution? Can you give us a figure as to what it's cost the prosecution?
I'm sorry, I don't have that figure at my fingertips.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lynch?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what the AG said. This has been a resource-intensive and very complex case for the RGP, and at times, you know, we've been stretched to the limit on this case. A large number of officers and support staff, civilian staff, have been involved, and this is a credit to their professionalism and the dedication in a major fraud trial. This was a victim-led crime. And I'd like to pay tribute to all those people that did come to court from all over Europe and gave evidence, sometimes in very stressful circumstances. I think they gave their evidence well, which is reflected in the verdicts today. That's all I've got to say at this stage.
Satisfied with the way that the police handled the matter?
Yes, there's probably learning issues that we've picked up over this trial, as you would expect. Don't forget we had a law change halfway through this trial with issues such as disclosure to deal with. And you know, with the defence being on the ball as they were, it did test our resolve in some cases. But yeah, I'm satisfied the way that the case has gone.
And any comment to make in respect to the verdict?
No comment. I'm satisfied really with the verdicts, as the AG said, and we'll wait and see what happens on Friday.
The victims of the fraud the Marrache brothers have been convicted of range from a young local man looking to invest in a house for the first time to a very successful multi-millionaire Irish businessman. The fact-finding mission leading to today's verdict was carried out not by a jury but by the judge himself. Somewhat unusually, Sir Geoffrey dismissed the jury in October last year and has since heard this trial alone. Reporting restrictions have now been lifted, so GBC can highlight that a judge can continue the trial without a jury, provided he or she thinks it proper to do so, and if satisfied that jury tampering has taken place. In summary, for 9 months, Sir Geoffrey has been the judge in this multi-million-pound fraud trial, and he has now also played the role of jury and returned a verdict of guilty for both counts for Benjamin and Solomon Marrache, a verdict of guilty for 1 count for Isaac Marrache, and for both counts a verdict of not guilty for Leanne Turnbull. Sentencing has been scheduled for Friday morning. Defence lawyers are expected to make submissions before Sir Geoffrey decides how long each of the 3 Marrache brothers will spend in prison.